What's going on, guys? We're here. We're live. Welcome to a brand new Poker Live podcast. My name is Joe Ingram1, aka Chicago Joey, joined today by a young gentleman who is one of my favorite poker media writers. He writes a lot of really good stuff. He doesn't write. I guess you don't write much generic stuff. I feel like a lot of your stuff, you can read it, you can enjoy it. You get it's not like the standard sort of basic article that's in poker that exists in a bunch of different genres, but it's certainly stuff that I enjoy reading the most in poker. And I want to have on the podcast. I want to talk about online poker changes. We got the GPL coming up. We got the awards. We got the conference. We got a bunch of different stuff. So we got my buddy Steve Ruddock on the pod. Steve, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me on.
Give the people like a 30-second biopsy. Give them like a little biopsy of just like a rundown of exactly if I'm sure they've seen your writing, but they might not know the name or they might not know much about you.
I used to be a professional poker player way back in the day. Switched over to writing around 2006, and mainly for the beginning of my writing, it was mostly poker stuff. Now I do a lot of the legislative and regulatory stuff as well, which is really boring. So we'll stick to poker stuff.
Yes, we will. Was that it? Was that the biopsy? That was it?
30 seconds. I went like 22, I think. Okay.
That's simple enough, guys. But yes, you write for all the sites, right? I mean, you're sort of a freelance writer, so there's not one specific site that you work for.
Yeah, I have do a lot of work with onlinepokerreport.com and US Poker, part-time poker. Do some writing for trade publications like Global Gaming Business, stuff like that. Yeah, anywhere that will pay me is a really good place to work most of the time.
Anywhere that'll pay you. I was talking with a guy last night on Facebook, and he was saying he's a poker writer as well too. And he was talking about going to LA. He's going to be out there for the poker awards. Are you going to be out there for the poker awards and the conference and the draft?
No, I'm a homebody. A wife, 2 kids, dog. So when I travel, it's got to be for a really good reason. And you got my nomination for media, I think.
Whew.
Right? You got nominated for that?
I somehow kid. I don't know how I did it, but they nominated me for media person. Correct? Yes, sir.
You were one of the 2 people I picked. You and Kev Math were my 2 choices.
I don't want to say that. I obviously picked myself one, but I don't want to say who the other person was because there's going to be people that are going to be angry at me if I tell them who I picked. But
see, I'll just say it. It was you and Kev Math were my choices. Because I think
me and Kev Math?
Yeah, you 2 do different poker media stuff, which I think is good, other than writing. Like Kev Math is real social media centric. I really like that. I like that he can interact with the community, and I like how you kind of bridge the gap between players, the industry, and the media. That you have different people on, and I like your format.
Yeah, I feel like I covered. I was thinking about, I always say I'm not a media person, but I was thinking about, what like a definition of a media person is. Then, I guess I do. I am sort of reporting. I have guests on. We discuss the current relevant topics that are in online poker and live poker with the guests on that are, the best, live players of the time or the best online players of the time, and with the stars changes, with the rake changes, with other events that are happening. So I guess when you think about it, I do cover the current media quite well. I didn't actually think about it until I was like, how did I get nominated for the award? But then I thought about, I was like, it makes sense.
So you got to be careful with your criticism of media now, because you're throwing yourself right in with it.
Well, I don't. There's a lot of there's the criticism of poker media right now on Twitter is getting a little carried away. We got Jason Moe. I'm not exactly sure what his argument is about poker media, but I think he's basically saying poker media, poker news shouldn't be reporting on things like this. I don't exactly know. Do you understand what him and Remco, what they're arguing about right now on Twitter?
I think Jason's point is you have there's 2 sides to every story, and Phil got to tell his side. The other guy didn't want to speak, which is kind of, I guess, somewhat incriminating in itself, but that's a tough situation. I thought it was kind of newsworthy. If you wanted to actually name the name, then go ahead and name the name. If the other guy doesn't want to talk, that's his business.
That's what we're talking about, guys.
I can see his point that you don't really want to take a side on something like that.
So do you think no media people should take, I just want to tell people in case they don't know, Phil Galfond wrote an article, an op-ed as they called it, on Poker News, where he outed a quote unquote scammer, which was actually, I mean, I guess it's a scam. He borrowed a fun player money in a live game. The fun player hasn't paid him back. He's gave him the runaround. It's very standard situation. It's just that the money in this situation is $250,000. But this sort of thing happens all the time in poker. And no one really writes articles about it. Like until now, nothing like a poker news site allows someone to write an article like that. And I think what Jason Moe, I guess he's saying is it's going to potentially set a bad precedent if people are just able to just say this guy's scamming this person on a reputable site like that. And there's another side to the story.
We've seen it in the past. I mean, the Eric Lindgren thing, it started on the forums, but spilled over into a newsworthy story. It's just weird that this didn't break on 2+2 and it broke on the Poker News article. It's usually the other way around with stuff like this. Anything
actually, that's a good
money.
That's a good point. Usually the person would write a thread in NVG on 2+2 and then the media outlets would pick it up.
Right.
And then that's usually how the stories are born. So
yeah, I mean, I'm fine with what was written. I don't think it was out of line, but I do understand what he's saying is that if I borrow $100,000 from somebody and am a month late paying them back, are they going to go run to a news site and say that I'm a scammer and I owe them money? So, as a point, but it seems like in this situation it was warranted.
All right, well, let's talk about some things. So we got, I guess the main things we're going to talk about: GPL, got the draft, the Global Poker League, talk about some of the awards and the categories nominees, and we'll talk some of the online changes. And we talked about doing this pod in January, and I think the main thing we talked about, we were just going to discuss sort of like the PokerStars changes, sort of the direction that they're going with trying to eliminate the professional poker player and trying to make as much money as they possibly can from their business. And you said that you had, you've been in the poker business for a long time. You sort of seen some things. So what's your take on all of that?
Yeah, you introduced me as a young guy, but I'm actually a couple months away from 40. So I'm a little older than I look. But when I got into poker in the late 90s, the idea of making the kind of money that people make now was ridiculous. It just wasn't going to happen unless you were among like the top 2 dozen players in the world. So I think what happened during the poker boom was people's expectations of what they can get from poker really changed. People thought, I'm a semi-smart guy. I'll apply myself and I'm pretty good with math and, I can make 6 figures. Well, it's generally in life, it's not quite that easy. So I think a lot of people saw what was going on between like 2004 and 2009, 10-ish, and said, this is gravy train right here. I'll hop on board. And now they're starting to see how things are shifting back to the mean. The games are getting a lot tougher now, which is a little different. When I came up, it wasn't that the games were tough. They were super soft. They were incredibly easy, but there weren't any games. That was the problem. I used to play in the back room of bars. You go to the casino at 4 p.m, you're lucky to have maybe 2 tables above like 2-4 limit hold'em. It was pretty much a joke. So it was more of a lack of games back then as opposed to the games being soft. Now it's shifted the other way. There's plenty of games, but the games are pretty tough now. And it is what it is. The site has to do something to keep I hate this word, but the ecosystem of poker sustainable, where it's the money coming in is replacing the money that's going out. And I think for a while, I'd say the past 3+ years, a lot of the money has just been going out. And the way it's been being filtered back in
wait a sec. You trying to say stars ain't making money? Is that what you're trying to say?
No. They make plenty of money, but the economy itself. So you have, just to simplify it, you have a pro player who's withdrawing $1,000, and what you have coming in is $500. So that pro player keeps withdrawing, and the new deposits aren't covering what he's withdrawing. So the site itself was augmenting that with rakeback, with a ton of rakeback, so that there was always this added money in. So these people that should be losing were actually break even or winning. So they were creating winners. These people weren't winning players. I'm not saying everybody, I'm just saying there's a group that's in the middle that normally in any normal situation would be slight losers. With rakeback, these people turned into slight winners. And then they realized, oh, well, I'm making my money off rakeback, not off my skill. So what I'll do is I'll just play more. And they start opening more tables and more tables. And the more tables you open, the tighter your play has to get, generally speaking. And now you have a bunch of very tight players playing at stakes well below what they should actually be playing because of the way the playing style makes them have to play. You can't play 10-20 no limit hold'em as just a super nit. You're not going to win. But if you go down and you play 20 tables of 1-2 as a super nit, you won't do too bad. And then the rake back is is where the money's coming from.
So basically what you're trying to say is that I don't know if Amaya is thinking like this, but what you're trying to say is that the games for the recreational players in this environment, they're playing with these mass tablers who are playing 20 tables and playing very tight. The games aren't fun. Therefore, Amaya thinks that if they eliminate these tighter players from the games, it'll be a better experience for the fun players because the play won't be so tight because people won't be on so many tables. And those guys that are making that slight money with rakeback now won't be in the games. Is that something like that?
That's half of it. I think it's more about changing the behavior. So what you want is you don't want somebody to play 20 games of 1-2. You want somebody to play 4 games of 5-10. So the person's playing the same. You don't really want those people to leave because you eliminate that winning player or that 20 tabler. He's just replaced because somebody has to win. So if you eliminated every winning player right now, what you'd end up with is whoever is the best of the losing players suddenly become winning players.
Right. So someone always wins in this scenario.
And then if you're a winning player, you play more. So they would just morph into what Amaya had gotten rid of. So it's not so much getting rid of them, it's changing their behavior. You want them to get out of the stakes where they decimate bad players. So you want them in a higher stakes game, but not. It's complicated, but.
No, I mean, I guess it makes sense.
Let me think for a second on how best to say this.
So instead of the guys who are 24 tabling 20 at 50 cent, you want them to be 4 tabling 2-4.
Exactly, and so they're not relying on the rakeback because you're getting a lot less rakeback playing 4 tables of 2-4 than if you're 20 tabling 50, the 50 cent dollar tables or whatever it is. So you want them to be playing higher and winning more money at the higher stakes, but obviously it increases variance for those players. So there's some kind of balance that needs to be created between that. How do we make these people still able to win at their current rate, but not from rakeback, but rather through their skill? Because if you're 4 tabling, you're going to play a lot better than if you're playing 20 tables, where you're basically just playing just a rote system that you have, okay, this is what I do with X hand in Y situation. And my thinking all along has been, nobody wants to do that. I mean, if you had the choice of playing in a 25-50 game where you were having a lot of fun and able to open up your play and play the player, that's so much more enjoyable than just mashing buttons, playing 20 tables, clicking back and forth. It's just that how the system was arranged before rewarded that type of rote play where, the more tables you play, the better. So I think what they're trying to do now is shift what is rewarded away from more tables and towards more skillful play. So when you're playing one table, you can concentrate, you can really focus in on the players. You're just a better player. That's the way I see it. That's my thinking of what they're trying to do, which is something I agree with.
I guess in this scenario, the better players do get rewarded in a way, because why do they get rewarded though? So, okay, so in the old scenario, you're going to have the guys who are grinding for rakeback, and they're still going to be playing in the games with the good players. The good players are still going to be winning in those games. So now in this scenario, let's say the good players are still playing in those same games, but the guys who were winning after rakeback aren't playing in those games now, are probably playing lower stakes. So there's just kind of less games running, less people are making money. I'm trying to like think exactly who this benefits at all. It doesn't benefit. I don't think it benefits anyone. The recreational players, I don't think it benefits them. They're still playing against the best players at the stakes. So, like, I just don't see how this like really does anything to change. It gets rid of some players, but I mean, I don't see how it protects the recreational players, or how it.
What it will do. This is the one thing I'm positive that it will do, is if people aren't making money on rakeback, the stakes that they have to play to earn, let's see, just say $20 an hour, that people aren't going to grind 24 tables at a time to make $12. It's just, I'm hoping that's the case. Okay, so yeah. If we say that the minimum rate somebody will do that for is $20 an hour, hopefully it takes them out of the $25 tables and brings them up to the $100 tables. Because right now, I don't
think that's going to happen though. Like, those guys couldn't beat 10 cent, 25 cent. I don't think most of those guys are going to, I mean, they're probably going to go up, but I mean, actually, you never know what happened. Like, you'd be surprised. The people that 24 table, 10 cent, 25 cent probably could beat 50 cent dollar if they were 4 tabling.
That's the way I feel. But what it will do from my perspective is it will take where the cutoff is. There's a certain line where, okay, micro stakes, they're unbeatable, correct? That's how most pro players feel. Just the rake in micro stakes is unbeatable. Am I wrong in assuming that? So like somebody playing a 1 cent, 2 cent, no limit hold'em game, that game's basically unbeatable, or you're not going to win very much money grinding out those games. You can't win $15 an hour playing those games.
Well, you can build I mean, it's all relative to the stakes. You can still make a big blind per 100 at a pretty decent rate, but you're not going to make
an hour. Can you make $15 an hour playing 1 cent, 2 cent PLO? Probably not. Nope. Most likely.
Although it'd be an interesting prop bet. I'd be willing to think about taking action on that, but I don't think so. No. Although I would be interested in considering a prop bet though.
It is an interesting idea, but if we take that as this is where new players come in and this is where they get their feet wet, okay, then they move up to 2 cent, 5 cent, 5 cent, 10 cent. Where is the line where all of a sudden you run into those rakeback grinders? Right now, it's probably at the $10 tables where there's a lot of people just trying to grind out 10, 15 bucks an hour, mainly from their rakeback playing 5 cent, 10 cent, no limit hold'em, or 10 cent, 25 cent. So if we can move that line anywhere from 5 cent, 10 cent up to 50 cents a dollar, that gives the new player that many more stakes to go through before they run into what is essentially a buzzsaw, because they're not going to get past those stakes. You run into a table with 8 rakeback grinders, it's boring, number one, and you're probably not going to win. What I want is that the rec player has a chance to run it up really quick and have a good time. Even if they end up losing the $2,000 they've somehow luck boxed into, the fact that they were able to do it once tells them, hey, I turned $100 into $2,000 in 2 weeks. I can do that again. And then they try it again. And they just, that's where I want them to have a good time. It's not so much I want them to win or I want them to, last longer or play more hands. It's I want them to have the chance to turn a small amount of money into a larger amount of money really quickly, because that's what recreational players want, in my opinion. It's like playing a scratch ticket. They just
but you think that's what Amaya is doing now? You think that's what the change is? That's what they're going for?
I think that's what they're trying to do. I don't agree with everything they've done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's certain things that I would do to make the games slightly more fun. Like I would, if it was me and I was making the decisions, I'd have every Hold'em game have an ante or a third blind, just so that you can't play super tight. That's what I would do to change the behavior. Like I said, it's all about changing the person's behavior. How do we stop people from playing, you know, that they're playing a 15-12 style? How do we get them to open up their game more? And I think it's by making it so they have to open up their game. So you added small ante, you added third blind, and now if you just sit around playing, I'm playing 15% of my hands, well, guess what? You're going to get eaten up by the blinds. So, I mean, there's different ways of going about what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And I just think it needs to be experimented with. I don't think I'm right, or I don't think they're right. I don't think the professional players are wrong. Like, I don't think...
Listen, man, Steve, this is a podcast. We're just talking ideas, man. Ain't nothing happening. We're just talking. This is a podcast meeting. We're just talking shit right now, man. We can say whatever we want to say.
Well, I don't think anybody's right or wrong, because I don't think anybody really knows. I don't think if we actually experiment with it, that anybody's going to know what the right formula is.
Nah, for sure, man. Let's move on to the GPL. So Global Poker League is taking over, man. Everyone on Twitter is putting out a Global Poker League article. Alex Strife is retweeting anything related to the Global Poker League. Anyone gives an interview talking about a fucking team captain, that he retweets it, and every fucking article on a New York Daily middleman 6518.com retweeting them. So it's taken over social media. So the Global Poker League is Go. What's the Global Poker League? Go, Steve.
It's a next iteration of poker. It's
Is it? Well, how? I feel like I should know, but I don't really know. Like I don't. If you said explain it, I'd be like, well, there's 12 teams, 18 teams, 15 teams. There are teams from around the world. They compete in. I don't know what they compete in exactly, but.
It's poker, and it's just slightly different. I mean, everybody's always tried to find the next big thing. And I think this is Alex's way of seeing if he can capture it. I mean, I think he's been the most innovative of it. I mean, we had the Epic Poker League, which was just a fail. That was horrible. Before that, we had the Professional Poker Tour, which lasted about as long. It got folded into the World Poker Tour eventually. So I think what he's trying to do is create a system where poker is not gambling, poker is a sport. So instead of playing poker at Commerce Casino, you're going to play it at the Los Angeles Forum in front of people. So let's take poker out of the casino. Let's put it into an arena. Let's take the I'm putting up money so I can win money out of poker and make it so there's just money to win. There's no longer, I'm not risking something of my own. I'm just playing for what the prize is. So, I mean, when he first started it, I was super skeptical. Like, I grilled him left and right about why it wasn't going to work. The closer it gets to launch, the more optimistic I've become of it.
Yeah.
I still think it's a long shot to really succeed, because it's just, I mean, it's poker players. See, you're trying to wrangle poker players to be on set at a certain time and be available.
I feel like I got more faith. I mean, I got more faith in it. You look at things. I'm just going to read what the innovations are. It says innovations: live, heads up, and 6-player matches with time limitations via 30 to 45 minute action clocks. Players standing up. They're playing in the cube. And online matches held on a proprietary. Fucking Christ! All right, 12 weeks of twice weekly competitions spread across online platforms, live in studio heads-up matches, and punctuated by live features in iconic venues within the cube. Championship postseason competition will play out live in a first-tier sports arena in the United States in the summer of 2016. Holy shit! Live stream on Twitch. I mean, that sounds pretty sweet. I mean, I'm in. Like I don't know if it's gonna be successful, Steve, but I'm gonna try, man. I'm gonna do my part to help get the word out there and help make some fun content about it.
Now you don't play tournaments, so you're not eligible for the draft, but you could be a wild card pick.
I mean, no, there's no chance I'm gonna be drafted for a wild card. If it was a PLO thing, I got a pretty good shot. But
it's all about personality. I think 3 things go into a good global poker league player. It's their marketability, their personality and reputation, and their any connection to whatever city they're supposedly playing for. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's kind of weird to have an Italian team and have it made up of 3 Germans. It's kind of hard to sell it to the people in Rome that, hey, root for these 3 German guys and, Faraz Jaka. So I think your connection to the city, your marketability, and then your skill level, which I think anybody who's a competent poker player is in the ballpark of skill level compared to anybody else. I mean, there's obviously slight variations depending on the game, but if you can play PLO, you can play Hold'em, you can play anything. It's not like it's rocket science. Yeah, it's quick.
Maybe not true.
It's a quick crossover learning curve. I mean, I
have played 10 million hands of Hold'em, so I technically played it. I just haven't played it in a long time.
I played 10 live sessions of No Limit Hold'em, I think, in my entire life, and then I played on Poker Night in America, and while I made a strange decision on one hand, I think I played all right. So, and I'm not even a very good poker player, so I think you could handle it if you get drafted.
Let me get some shout outs real quick, guys. We're on Twitch, we're on YouTube. What's going on? I see Davina Dar out there. What's up, Davina? What up, Puppy? Larry Friendly. I like dirt. Puppy, take my energy. Oh, take it, Puppy. Take my energy. We got a bunch of people on YouTube. LOL says, Joey, you look so cute today. What's the secret? Lighting, bro. I'm telling you, I got some new lighting. I changed the camera angle on the thing. Hit the gym, put this tank top on with a little bit of color in yourself. And that's it, man. You look cute. That's all you got to do. Movie maker, JJ Casino. He had a conspiracy theory at the beginning. I want to read about that. You want to read this? He says, Amaya owns Poker News. Poker Stars is an online site. Galfon complained about brick and mortar casino loans gone bad in the op-ed. The bottom line, online poker is safe and not shady as Bellagio's. It's a very good conspiracy theory that I actually like. Thank you for that, movie maker, JJ Casino. That was great. What do you think about that conspiracy theory, Steve?
I've heard that for a couple of years now, actually. The rumors of Poker Stars owning Poker News. I've never really seen anything to verify it, but if they have a stake, I don't really think it changes the content all that much. I mean, you go to Poker News for tournament results, stories about players. I don't think people are going there for, super hard-hitting news. And I don't think people are reading me for super hard-hitting news about what's going on in the poker world either. It's just not my thing. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, you know where to look for it. There's different news sources.
Wait, who puts out hard-hitting stuff? Wait a second. Am I missing the hard-hitting stuff? Who puts it out? Where is it at?
If you want rumors, like, hey, this could be going on.
Allegations. We want some allegations. We love allegations.
Poker Fraud Alert, that forum has...
I got to check that out then.
Any rumor in the world that you're looking for is probably going to be found on there. That's Dan Druff's site.
Heard about him, man. I heard him on Lyman's podcast the other last couple weeks ago. They were arguing like two psychotic people. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was a good time. I really enjoyed them both on there. So
yeah, I mean, what you're looking for, if you're really looking for it, you know where to find it. I mean, depends on what part of the poker world you're interested in.
Let's go back to GPL. I just want to finish up the GPL real quick. Yeah, draft's coming up here. It's going to be on Thursday. I'll be out there in LA for that. 12 teams. Draft order was selected. There's going to be 6 players. They added an extra player. The teams initially was going to be 5. Now it's going to be 6, 4 people in the top 1,000, and 2 wild card entrants. I expect the wild cards to be something like poker, like celebrities that play poker. What do you think the wild cards are going to be, Steve?
One of them will most likely be the team manager. You have to, I talked to Alex and he said you have to draft yourself as a wild card to be able to play. So each team manager is probably going to draft themselves. I would expect that all of them are anticipating on playing. So there's basically one real wild card slot. I think it really depends on the team manager. I mean, what are they looking for? Are they going to grab a friend of theirs that they know really well, that they, oh, this person's a good player. Nobody really knows about him. This person is, really, really friendly and outgoing, perfect fit for us. This person make good team chemistry. Or are they just going to say, hey, I just want the best person available, which is, it depends. It depends on who's willing to do it, because that's the big thing.
That's another thing. Yeah, people have to be willing to do it. And looking at the managers here, so I honestly I expect it to be like sort of celebrities, like the Don Cheadles of the world, or like a Richard Roper, like a Brad, like those poker, like who's the Ray Romano? Like I expect it to be people like that for the most part.
Will they do it, though? You think they'll do it? You think they'll sign up, throw their name on that contract? And
I feel like Chris. So let me look at the team. So I think Chris Moneymaker probably like has met these type of people over the years, and he could convince someone to do it with him. I'm sure like there might be a Brazilian person, a London person, an Italian. I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting now I think about it. I don't know who they're gonna be.
That's the thing with the wild card. It could just be anybody. It could be, like you said, it could be some soccer guy from Italy. It could be Ray Romano. Be a great fit for the Italian team. So who knows? But that's one of the things I think that makes the GPL kind of interesting is it's not just about the person's poker skill. It's what they bring to the team. Can they sell a T-shirt, basically? So you kind of have the dichotomy of, is this person a good poker player, and can they sell our merchandise?
Yeah, I think that's going to be important for things is like getting known players on the teams. Because if the idea Alex has is to sportify poker, well, then obviously you want to get fans that aren't just poker players. You want to get fans that are, maybe they are sort of poker fans from TV, but that's about it. So now these people come in, maybe they want to, I feel like enough people out there exist like that are just, they don't go online, they don't go on 2+2, they don't even play at the casino, but they watch ESPN. They would pay attention if something like this existed, but nothing like it has existed. So I mean, I could see this getting some momentum.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I live out in the suburbs of Massachusetts, so like family, friends, they're always asking me. They know what I do for a living, and they think I'm like Mr. Poker, but it's they oh, I watch the World Poker. It's just like, I know you've never played poker in your life, but these people do watch it on TV.
Right, that's what I mean. They watch, but they don't play. They're not thinking about strategy. They just like want to be entertained. Yeah. And with this like esports type inspiration Alex has he's got the unknown Chinese investors, the unknown alleged Chinese investors bankrolling the operation. I mean, it's like, I could see it working, man. Honestly, I got high hopes for it. Why do you have
poker watchable? That's the thing. Can you make poker watchable? Because I don't like watching it very much.
If they have it where it's there's no tanking. Think about, why do we hate poker? Like why don't we like it? We don't know the players sometimes. A lot of tanking, a lot of the same old bullshit, the same scenarios, same things, like it's the same turn. Like it's a different. I don't know. This is a different format. The stakes might be a little bit different. Maybe there's. I don't know. I feel like it really could work.
I think what's happened over the years is poker got really big really fast, because people were seeing something they've never seen before. But you can only see Ace King versus 8-8 so many times, and Mike Sexton and Vince Van Patten hyping up how it's a coin flip. You've seen it before, you know how it works out. So there's nothing new anymore. Everything's been done. You've seen aces get cracked. You've seen the one-outer hit on the river. Everybody's seen it. If you watched 10 episodes of the World Poker Tour, you've pretty much seen pretty much anything that can happen in a poker tournament.
Okay, so why is the main event pop? Why do people watch the main event on TV? Why is that popular?
It's sort of popular. I mean, it's far off its peak viewership. So
yeah, I mean, relative, yeah. Well, I'm not saying it's like fucking the most popular thing, right, but it's still, people still watch it for sure.
Right. I mean, I think the main event has the aura around it of this is something important. I mean, what got me into poker was watching 3:00 in the morning on ESPN, these old reruns of 1970s and 80s World Series of Poker tournaments. They had these 1 hour episodes of it. And that's how I got hooked on poker. And then Daniel Negreanu playing in the USPC in 1998 or 99, whichever it was. I saw that and I was like, hey, that guy's my age. I should be doing this. So it is there, but now it's been so commercialized. Everybody's seen it now. It's not, I mean, before it was only night owls. I was up at 3:00 in the morning. I saw this. Now it's on all the time. So I think it's a little bit harder to just attract somebody and say, hey, this is how it is. This is poker. It's exciting.
Yeah, I'm really curious what I think they're going to do is, so look here, it says all regular season matches be live streamed online, available on the largest something platform with exclusive weekly pregame shows. So what I feel like they're going to do, like if you watch the draft, you heard Eric Danis talking about being like a Mel Kiper Jr. sort of thing. So I think what they're going to do is they're going to try to just basically emulate what they see for like the sports. So the football, like the little 4-man pregame shows, the postgame shows, there's going to be like the experts who are going to be fucking terrible at poker and should no way at all be experts at anything related to poker. But no shots at them, of course. No shots at them, but this will be where on the podcast here is where you're going to be getting the expert fucking analysis. You're not going to be getting it from the experts, whoever GPL, no shots at GPL, no shots at the experts, future experts on GPL. But those aren't going to be no experts. So I don't even know. I was getting fired up there because I thought about something funny, and I don't want to fire any shots. So I'm not going to fire any shots. But I think it's going to work, man. Just the form, like, I got faith.
The closer it gets to launch, the more optimistic. What? Sorry, that's my dog. She's kind of.
How about a naked poker show? Yeah, how about a naked poker show, Vanoff says. People need to see boobs. I mean, it's worked. Naked dating, naked and afraid, naked poker. I feel like naked poker could work.
Didn't Pornhub launch some kind of poker thing?
Yeah, I'm actually so I actually play on Pornhub poker. I've been playing the high stakes strip poker games, and currently I'm basically sort of running the lobby. I'm the end boss on that site, and I'm just winning a lot of my matches on there, a lot of my heads up sit and goes, and I've been making a lot of money at the game. So if anyone wants to come play, if you're interested in potentially seeing me naked, go to Pornhub Poker. My screen I'm on there is GTO Puppy, and we can play. Just let me know. So you been playing on there, Steve?
I've never played on there, no.
Oh, it's fun, man. It's good. You get some. I mean, it's a lot of dudes you're playing who are like taking out. Listen, let's not get into that, man. Let's. We got kids watching this. Shout out to Kev Meth in the chat. He says, assume it would be Negreanu Helmuth serving as experts. I don't think so. I think they'll have some role on there as an analysis, but I don't think I think they're going to try to build new like studio personalities that are going to be considered the guys that know, the experts. I don't think Negreanu and Helmuth are going to be, I think they'll be there as, the expert role, but I don't think those guys are going to be. I think they're going to put up new people too.
Yeah, I mean, they have Eric Danis and Laura Cornelius do a lot of GPL stuff. So, I mean, I would expect them to do most of it. Maybe they'll throw it over to Negreanu and Helmuth just to get their insight onto certain players. But I mean, I think a lot of the people, just looking at the list, a lot of people who are registered for the draft aren't really in that clique of people. I think they're more a lot of the up and coming players more than the established players. I mean, I didn't see a lot of Ted Forrests and, David Benjamins on there. I saw a lot of Fedor Holtz type players.
Okay, Steve. So why do you think we don't see those people on the list? Why do you think we don't see those people? But why don't we see them, guys, as much?
Could be any number of reasons. They could just realize that they're not at that level anymore. I hope they realize they're not at that level anymore.
I mean, I think that's what it is. A lot of these name guys you saw in the past that were good or were on TV weren't necessarily good, never actually worked to get good at poker. They just sort of like got good at poker. And to now really compete on the highest level and to have these consistent results, you got to be like working on your game. You got to be putting hours. And a lot of these guys never really put in hours. So now when it gets to the point where they need to really put in hours or really need to work on their game, they don't know how to work on their game. They don't know how to put in the hours. They don't even know what the fuck to do. They don't even know how they were good before. And, eventually the backers run dry and you can't play anymore. And that's probably why we don't see many of those people
No, I agree with that because, I mean, like I said, I got into poker in the late 90s, and you really didn't have to know too much to beat those games. I mean,
Right.
you read a book, you were better than 90% of the players that were sitting in a casino on any given time. And straight through the early 2000s, I never really studied or did anything. I just was better than most of the people that were playing. And then it was like in the mid 2000s where I realized, a lot of these guys are going by me. I was never a high stakes pro or nothing. I was a middling pro. I made an okay living playing poker, never was a world beater. So it took me a lot more study, that type of stuff, going over poker tracker stats, and it's a whole different ballgame than what these guys came up with. I mean, I was there. I seen both, and I mean, I wish we could go back to 2000. You didn't have to do anything. All you had to do was just be reasonably bright and like cards, and you'd be probably a winner in most poker games.
Yeah, I think that's sort of what happened before, is that many people weren't really working on their games, but no one was working on their games. So obviously, as we talked about earlier in that scenario, well, someone's got to rise, someone's got to be the best out of those people who aren't working on their games. And then as people progress, they start working at their games. Those guys who never did, well, if they don't adapt to that ability. And, I think going back to what I said before, sometimes people just don't want to put that work in. They might want to pursue something else. Maybe they were good at poker before, they got some notoriety, they parlay that into something else, a business, or, they went to school for a degree, they actually got a job in that field. So, I mean, some people just don't want to put the work, they don't want to put the work in. They'd rather do something else that they might enjoy more. And they might have played poker before and got well known and made money. And then that was it. They just got over it. It gets old sometimes for some people.
Yeah. I mean, I told somebody recently, I said, I would much rather do what I do now and play poker for fun than spend the amount of time I do writing, studying, and playing poker for money. Because it's just, even if you said, oh, you'll make 25% more playing poker, it's still, I remember just going through variants and stuff. It's not something for the faint of heart, and I'm not a very risky person to begin with. So.
Oh no, the variance is. I mean, I'm going through. I'm just trying to climb out of the last downswing I was on. But it's the variance is tough. When you lose, you want a $50,000 downswing. That it's hard to deal with for some people sometimes. So
yeah, I mean, I went through like two very prolonged break even slight losing streaks, and my mental well-being was not in a good place during those. Now that I'm married, I have 2 kids. It's very difficult to even imagine trying to go through that scenario now with a family.
Neo response says, what stakes does Pornhub run? And Dole Sub says, 1 dick, 2 dick. How many dicks in the straddle? Listen, that's a great question, guys. Oh man, Steve, I was going to say, I don't want to bring this. This is going to be an hour-long conversation. I'm not going to get into that. But Vanoff says, basically a new poker game needs to be invented where everyone starts from zero again to make it all interesting again. And what you're saying is that's a new game. That's like an open-faced Chinese. Those games have people are going to figure out. It's not going to be interesting for that long because people are going to figure out the games. They're going to get
with the internet. It's very difficult because I mean, the base strategy you can learn now in 5 minutes on the internet would have taken you several books, hours of conversation. I mean, Theory of Poker, when I got into poker, was people were like, that's a really advanced book. You shouldn't read that first. And now that's considered if you don't have that base knowledge before you even start playing, you're at a huge disadvantage. So I think that the learning has gone so far as to what is base knowledge and what is, what are you learning? It's night and day. So I think any new game that comes along, people are going to, Badoogie was one. That was, game changer for a while. When Full Tilt Poker introduced Raz, nobody knew how to play that. So it's difficult. One of my strengths as a poker player is learning a new game very quickly. I'm good at just changing around the strategies and figuring out, okay, what kind of hand wins these pots? Is this a showdown game? Is this, a bluffing game? But eventually, within months now, it's almost solved. People have a very high level of strategy within months of any game coming into being.
Well, I guess when you think about Hold'em or PLO, these games aren't really solved now. They've been around for years. People are just maybe now getting. PLO for sure, far away. We got Jay Nandas in the chat. LOL says he is the end boss of Zoom. I don't know if that's true, but I think he's really good he's winning a lot of money at Zoom 2.5 PLO on PokerStars. I don't know if he's the end boss. It's not carried away, Poppy. But I think about that more. But PLO is not really, it's not really a solved game now. It's not like people are good at it. People are really good at it, but there's still a long way to go before people really solve PLO. So maybe if they made up a game like it's like that. Hold'em X could be the. What do you think? Could be the game? I played a little bit of it, but I'm not sure. I don't know. I
played about 100 games of it. I probably other than the games where I was just like experimenting. Mm-hmm. I had a set strategy that I was using, and I think I was like 95-5 playing it. So
95-5 allegedly?
No, that was really 95-5.
You got a receipt? You can't be bragging about shit like that around a receipt, Poppy.
Ask Alex to hack my account if he can and see my stats. But basically, if you didn't, what I did was pair top card and the 2 change suit cards. Those were the 3 block cards I used. And if the person didn't block those, they're basically screwed. If you can pick the pair bottom card, pair top card, the 2 switch cards, the suit switch cards, and then you could pick I think it was like redeal river and redeal turn. But if you have that, you're basically playing PLO while the person's playing Hold'em. If you have pair top and pair bottom card, you have 4 cards in your hand. If you have Jack 10 of spades, you're playing jacks and 10s double suited because you have that switch card. And you can use the switch suit card at any time too. So you're basically getting like 6 cracks at a flush draw. So there's certain things in it that I think they just need more cards to make that game more interesting. But
Ivy League says, looks like a room of a teenager. Take some of that money and decorate properly, bruh. Listen, Ivy League.
Is it you or me?
I think it's definitely me. He says, my room looks allegedly like a teenager. I have a picture of Chicago. I got a globe because I'm studying geography, and I got that jacket up there because when you rage, you put the jacket on, it's made of fur, and you scratch yourself and shit like that. So, Becca, you hear what they say? They need to decorate the room. What do you think about that? I know. You want something to what? You think you should decorate the room? All right, fine. She'll help decorate, man. Listen, Ivy, you show me a picture of your room, bro. All right? Anyone that comes into a Twitch chat and says that, I just can't. I can't see it, man. I can't see it. All right, let's
MSNBC books behind me. I'm in the MSNBC studio or something.
You look like you're a professional fucking reader over there, Steve, with all those books.
Yeah, I've read a little too much. What? My
dog.
Okay,
let's just do the nominees for Poker Awards here, and then I'm trying to keep it like an hour. I'm trying to keep these. After the last one with Anna Kate, I'm like, all right, let me keep some of these an hour, and then that are like more about the current relevant topics, and then other ones do. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, Steve. I'm trying to do something new here with a strategy. But all right, let's talk about the awards. So you were on the nomination panel, as was I, correct?
Yes.
And that's fine. And there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 categories. And I think some of them are dumb. Tournament Performance of the Year, I think that's a dumb category. Moment of the Year, I think that's an okay category. Breakout Performance of the Year is basically who ran hot. Let's look. So Breakout Performance of the Year, it's Josh Beckley, who went deep in the main event. Asher Kniff, my boy Ash, who went deep in a couple events. Kate Hall, my girl Kate Hall. Shout out to Kate Hall. I'm going to be doing a podcast with her out in LA again in person. She went deep. She went deep in 2 big events and final tabled 1. And then Kelly Minkin, who went deep in the main event. I think she won some other stuff too, actually. She might be the number one woman on the GPI. But like, it's basically like who went deep in the tournaments, you know? I don't know, like breakout performance of the year. I don't get the category. I don't know, like breakout performance, like broke out in a.
It had weird parameters too. Like the person couldn't have final tabled the previous like WPT event in the year before. So it was very limited in the field you could even select. Like if you had final table the World Series of Poker tournament in 2014, you were ineligible for breakout performance of the year in 2015. So it was literally like rookie of the year.
Who do you think wins that event? That wins that category this year?
I would go with Kate Hall. I think she had a couple final tables on the WPT. 2 or 3 anyway.
I think it'll be between her and Kelly Minkin, because I think Kelly was the #1 woman for a bit on the GPI.
Yeah. So I mean,
and I don't know. I'm not sure who like the jury is who decides, but it's going to depend who the jury is. If the jury doesn't follow much online stuff or isn't like on social media, doesn't really know about social media stuff, I think Kelly Minkin's going to win because she was on coverage on ESPN. So if they watch the main event, if they're those type of fans, then they're probably going to vote for her.
Yeah, I saw the jury last year. It was Alex, Eric, I think Donnie Peters, the woman who runs the Heartland Poker Tour. Can't think of her name off the top of my head. There was 7. I think they do 6 or 7. But it was kind of like industry people. It wasn't really online people.
Yeah.
Adam Small was. He's online. Pocket Five's co-founder.
Oh yeah, shout out to Adam. Man. I'm gonna get him on the pod. We're gonna have him on the podcast sometime soon as well.
Adam's a good guy.
All right, next category: event of the year. Buy-in up to $2,000.
Those ones boggle my mind. The one that's over 2,000, it's like World Series of Poker main event. How can you pick anything else? It should be event of the year other than the World Series of Poker main event.
Well, I think for the event of the year, it's Super High Roller Aria Bowl, 500K buy-in, the main event, 1 drop, and then the Seminole Hard Rock Poker. I don't even know how that gets in there, but I think Super High Roller Bowl is going to win the 500K event.
You do? The World Series of Poker main event is it for me. Like, there's that, and then it's everything else. So, I mean, they won last year, so maybe they go with Aria this year. But if you're going to pick the one tournament you're going to play or the one tournament you're going to watch, which one is it?
That's true. Well, that's a good way to buy. You changed my argument then. Depends on the criteria of how you're going to decide it, for sure.
That's to me is the tournament, and then there's everything else.
I just want to tell you, these are the American Poker Awards. So this is American people. This isn't European people. That's the European Poker Awards. That's something different. Next one's Industry Person of the Year. It's Jack Eiffel. He's the WSOP Vice President Director. Matt Savage, he's Matt fucking Savage. John Pappas, PPA guy. William Mason, never actually heard of him. Seminole Hard Rock Director of Poker. And I think that's probably between Jack Eiffel and Matt Savage. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, any one of those is a good choice. I mean, Matt didn't win last year, so give it to Matt this year because that guy deserves a Lifetime Achievement Award, if you ask me.
I agree, actually. Charitable initiative ban, or charity. I was reading a comment in the chat. I just want to ban the guy again real quick. Sounds like he's JCA. We don't want your kind in the chat. Please go away. Thank you. Charitable initiative of the year, Chad Brown Memorial Tournament, which I was at. Charity Series of Poker, which is Matt Stout's, which I final tabled an event somehow. Tigers Poker Night, hosted by Tiger Woods. I hope that doesn't win. And WSOP 1 drop high roller, little 1 for drop. How are we deciding what's the criteria for this one? Charitable initiative of the year. So initiative is defined as one single thing or a total thing, because Matt Stout, he does multiple events.
Yeah. I like the first 2 a lot more than the last 2 on that. I mean, one drop's well and good, but that's a World Series of Poker event. It's not really a charity event. I mean, a lot of the money goes to charity, but there's a corporation aspect to it, whereas Matt Stout's thing and what was the first one you said? Slipped my mind.
The Chad Brown Memorial Tournament.
Chad Brown Memorial. I mean, those are charity tournaments that were designed just to be charity tournaments, as opposed to this is part of a greater tournament series. Either one of those. I think those are the 2 that I picked as my finalists. I know.
All right, so next two are a little weird because I talked with Tuckman about this. So we got the Media Person of the Year, and then we got Poker Presenter of the Year. For Media Person, it's me, shout out to me, Kev Math, shout out to Kev Math, Donnie Peters, shout out to Donnie, and Jay Carver, Jason Somerville. And then Poker Presenter, it's Sarah Herring, shout out to Sarah, friend of the podcast, Kara Scott, Joe Stapleton, and Dave Tuckman. So I think I don't know I'm not sure what to make of this. So media person, I feel like Jason Somerville is more of a presenter, I'm not sure. Like, I feel like Stapleton, Stapes, and Tuckman are media guys. They're doing commentary. They're more media guys. Donnie Peters, definitely a media person. Kevin Math, media person. Me, I feel like that's more of a media person. I'm talking about media, that relevant poker topics. But I feel like the other guys aren't presenters, though. Like Stapes and Tucker are more media people rather than presenters.
Yeah, there's a mishmash in those two categories. I mean, they could separate them somehow as, traditional media, and then have like, more of a social media podcast type of category. But I agree with you that are you serious? Jason's not really a media person per se. He doesn't really interview people. He's just doing his own sessions on Twitch.
Right. So, he's basically, I don't know. I just don't see how he's media. I don't see how he gets in the media person category at all.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Tuckman and Stapes are presenters. It's kind of a weird way to say commentator, but they could do like a media personality. So the person's on TV, or they do video type of content, that they could all be lumped into that category. I understand, because he doesn't want to have 6 categories that are media related things. So in
theory, if those are the people that are putting out the most content in the community, it makes sense. I feel like there should be, just looking, okay, so media content, there actually is something media content too, which is Bust, an insider's account of Greenville underground poker scene by Brad Willis, who won last year. Faraj Jaka, listen, man, that's a fucking, come on, man. How is Faraj Jaka, a homeless poker millionaire on CNN Money, a fucking media? That's like the actual content. That's a fucking joke. Jason Somerville's record Twitch broadcast during W Coop. If you're going to say that, you should just give everyone, whatever. Joe Jaron shoots photo of Negreanu crumpled on floor after WSOP main event elimination.
Yeah, the first one and the last one are great. Those are exactly like Joe's photo. Like, it says more in that photo than I could ever say in 20,000 words about what happened there. So, that's a great choice. But like you said, Faraz didn't write his piece. It was written about him. Brad's piece was, Brad wrote it. So it's
right. No, I think that's, and I don't know where Jay Carver falls. Like, obviously Jay Carver's the end boss. He's the end boss this year right now. He's got to win something. I think his Run It Up series, although that's a tournament, that I guess that might be more of a tournament series, but that's an actual event. But I don't know if that's necessarily media content though. So, and Norley said Twitch is media. I definitely think Twitch is media too. But yeah, obviously Jay Carver needs to win some category. But I'm just not sure. I don't know. Maybe like Kevin Matt says Twitch streamer of the year, but I feel like Jay Carver just wins that until he stops going on Twitch. So
yeah, these award shows, they kind of, if you've won the year before, they don't always give it to you the next year though. So Twitch streamer of the year, I kind of just like, audio video media and, written media,
That's a good point.
Make it so it's separated somehow, because I think it was Kev Math that brought it up. That's like somebody like him and somebody like Jason Somerville lumped into the same category it's very difficult, especially with the, it's just name recognition alone for Jason is through the roof. So it's difficult to compete with that.
Right.
Brad Willis, Jason Somerville. It's,
who do you think's gonna win media content of the year?
That photo better win. If that photo doesn't win, I'm gonna have to write something, because to me that was just one of those iconic photos that you can always place with poker. 20 years from now, you could still use that as the intro of the World Series of Poker main event. That one photo of him crumpled on the floor just tells the whole story.
I'm going to go Jay Carver, of course. Poker presenter there. Who do you think takes that one down? Sarah Herring, Kara Scott, Stapes, or Tuck?
I'm going to say Kara.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Why?
I'm just thinking about.
What does she do exactly? She does does the ESPN stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about who the jury is, or who it will likely be, and I think that's a Kara Scott category.
I think Stapes wins it.
See, now he should be in the European Poker Awards, if you ask me.
But he's American.
Yeah, but does the EPT stuff and all that.
Yeah.
He should be fighting with Jessie May, not with Sarah Herring.
It's gonna be interesting, man. I feel like those are the couple categories we don't know who's going. Obviously, media persons, Jason Somerville is of course gonna win the fucking cat. There's no chance.
I would take the field if we were doing a bet. You could take Somerville, and I'd take the field there.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Because I think a lot of people are going to think like you and I do right now and say that he's not really a media person.
I mean, but we look at the panel. Let's say, so if we got Donnie, obviously Donnie, like we're all friends of each other in this scenario. Obviously, Donnie's nominated for an award, so he might not be on the thing. But I know Jay Carver's got a lot of relationships with a lot of the people who the names you said on that jury. He's pretty friendly with all those guys. They obviously appreciate his work. They respect the grind that he puts in, and what he does for poker. And I don't know, man. I don't see. I would take that bet for sure.
Last year, Chris Grove won.
Well, Chris is the fucking man, dude. I mean, that's
right.
Like Chris is the man, but Chris is he's a man. He's like.
But he's like, if you're going just like by name, that's not really the name you would have picked out of that group last year.
Yeah.
Because
his shit's so good. He's great, man. I love his. I mean, I'll read anything he writes. I don't care what it's about. I'll just read it because I know it's great.
I read it because I know there's going to be like 3 words that I have to go look up online that I have no clue what they are. I can't even like look at the sentence and figure out what they are.
Yeah, it'd be interesting category, man. Kevin Math, man, he grind. It's like Kevin Math's grinding all the time too, man. He's working with Pocket Fives now. Obviously, he's on Twitter like all the time, providing information and help to people and stuff like that. So I mean, it's
as one of the better poker parody accounts, the Kev Wrath. Have you ever checked that out?
I've never seen that one.
There's a Kev Wrath Twitter account, which is basically what you would expect Kevin to say if he was a normal person when people ask him stupid questions.
Gotta look this up. I'm gonna find
doesn't tweet very often, but when it does, it's priceless.
All right, I found it here. I'm gonna read it after the.
He's another Lifetime Achievement Award guy. He should. I mean, for everything he's put into poker, got to be some kind of congratulatories there.
I think maybe they'll come up with like that at some point in time. I mean, it's something like 2+2 came up without like their 2+2 Poker Hall of Fame sort of thing like that. So it probably be like there'll probably be something like official, unofficial type award thing that someone might come up with, and I feel like Kevin Math will be
get him into the official Poker Hall of Fame. Got to find out how old he is.
I think we can do it. The Information Hall of Fame. I mean, he's been grinding for like how long has he been doing this for?
Early poker boom, anyway. I would think.
Right, man. Yeah. He's 45 allegedly. I'm gonna need to see a receipt on that, bro.
No, he's older than me. Nice.
Yeah, man. Kev Mass, old man. He's old enough to be my dad or something like that. Shout out to Kev. I'm gonna see Kev next week in LA. I'm excited to actually meet him in person. I never met him in person. I'm gonna ask him 100 questions. I expect him to have a fucking answer to every question on the spot. If he doesn't, I'm gonna believe it's all a mirage and it's not actually a true
thing. Got a dossier, a binder like this of tournament structure sheets from across the country.
Who won the Heartland Poker Tour? Who won the Heartland Poker Tour main event, Tulsa, Oklahoma, 2011, Kev?
What's the 7th level blind structure of?
Who's the 198th ranked GPI player of 2014? If it did even existed. So, all right, those are the things I want to talk about. I want to talk about GPL awards, some online stars changes. That's the main things I want to hit on. Anything else you want to hit on, Steve?
I don't know what else is going on. trying to think what else is going on in poker right now. A lot of legislative movements in the U.S. Might see it in Pennsylvania and California.
I'm gonna fall asleep to that, Steve. I don't want to talk. I can't talk about that.
Think about that. Legal online poker in California. Just think about that.
I'm gonna get the VPN set up right now and play from Chicago. Nope, never mind. We take that. I'll be in California, Steve, playing.
10% chance it passes this year.
Really?
Yeah, 10%. Some people are higher. I'm 10%.
Well, we'll be following along with that. Steve, what do you got? Anything you got coming up here? Anything people can look forward to reading? You just wrote an article. What was the one you just wrote? I just read it. It was about GP. What is it about GPL?
I did a GPL's popularity problem.
That was a good one. That was a good article. Definitely a good one.
Where so many people registered, there's going to be about 150 people that aren't drafted. And I'm wondering how those 150 people are going to take that news. If they're going to be, cynical about the GPL moving forward because they weren't drafted. We're talking poker players, so are they going to be like, oh, so-and-so drafted their friends over the better players? So I'm kind of interested in how it's going to all play out with that. You got to stop, really. I have a huge dog, so that's what you're hearing.
Shout out to the dog, man. All right, where can people follow you on Twitter, Steve? You're on Twitter at Steve Ruddock, Ruddock. And I'll put a link to the description in the YouTube video of the piece Steve wrote about the GPL. It's definitely a pretty good piece. I'd recommend checking it out. And that's it. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. All right. I got coming up Monday, potentially with Donnie Peters, Tuesday with Timex Mike McDonald. We're going to be talking GPL. And at the Poker Awards, I'm going to do a podcast with Kate Hall. I want to hit up Chris Grove, see if we can do an in-person podcast if he's going to be there for that too. I'll probably do something for the draft. I got a bunch of stuff coming up, man. I don't know, guys. So just follow on Twitter, follow Steve on Twitter, check out his work. And what else? That it?
I think that's it.
Anything else you want to plug? You got anything else you want to advertise? Put something out there, man. Tell people something. Give them something.
Yeah, just follow me on Twitter. Everything I do is on Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll see anything I write, pretty much. So that's the place to find me.
All right, guys. That's it. Much love. Thanks for tuning in. Guys on Twitch, guys on YouTube. Movie. I want to get some shout outs, but I'll get some shout outs after we're done. Steve, take it easy, buddy. Thanks for coming on, man.
Have a good one. Thanks.
All right. See you, buddy.